Hey guys, it's Brick Thunder, and today we're going to be looking back on the previous year for retail Halloween to see kind of what happened, and then I'm going to be giving you my opinions for what may be to come. Alright, so this is a very new style of video. I've not done this before, and I haven't really seen anyone do this exactly before, so I'm not even really sure how this is going to go yet. I'm just going to start, and we're going to see where it goes. So, starting, I do want to just say this is going to be about all the different major companies in retail. Not going to be covering anything professional today because I think that would be a whole nother video. If you guys want to see that, there are some amazing professional companies that did some great stuff last year, and I'm sure there's definitely going to be some more great things this upcoming year. So yeah, retail only, and it will be most of the major stores. All right, so starting with our first company, it is an online company. This is HalloweenCostumes.com. So I am currently working with them, and I do have some more designs for them this year, and I'm super excited about that. They are turning out great. So I can't wait to show you guys those, but I cannot show those just yet. So can't say too much about them, but they had an awesome year. It's been super fun making things for them. And what I will say out of props is they're doing a great job on social media. They're really focusing on like that TikTok side of things, which is definitely smart, seeing how much it's blown up. They do a lot of fun like little skits and just videos of behind the scenes of the warehouse and stuff, and I think that's really cool. All right, next up we have Menards. So they do release some great stuff, and they are kind of state select, so you may not even have a Menards, and you may not know what it is, but it's just another hardware store, and they do have some good retail items sometimes. This year, though, they didn't add as much as usual. They did resell a lot of things from previous years, but there was only one or two new things, and they were similar to what other companies had to offer. They did release Sutures, which was a reskin of Stitches. So another one that's kind of just a bit too similar to consider a new thing. So if we could see a bit more new things from Menards, I think they would definitely be doing great. Their prices are pretty high compared to other companies, so that's the only other thing, but it is really good to see another hardware store starting to get into Halloween. 2 years ago, Smoldering Ghoul, he is still being sold, and he's awesome. I love that thing. So yeah, overall, I would just love to see a bit more new stuff from them. But overall, I think they're definitely on the right track, and I definitely think they're getting into the Halloween world a lot more. They also do a ton for Christmas and other holidays too, so definitely a good store to shop at for the holidays. Because also they do a great sale, and it starts before Halloween, and it gets really low. It's like 50 or 75% off by the end of it. All right, so next up we have Costco. Costco definitely had a very interesting year, and it's kind of split between the community what people think of this year. I really like what they did. They have some great uniqueness, some realism with the mummy with the blinking eyes. That's really cool. And they did go big with both the mummy and the clown. The clown is awesome. I think that thing is super unique and really cool looking. I know a lot of people don't like it, especially because of the voice. But I will say, with so many animatronics in people's haunts, you really can't tell when a single prop has a bad voice. You can even just turn it off and play some music by it, and it'll look pretty good. But I really like his mouth movement. I think they did a great thing there with the huge jaw moving. It kind of moves the entire character. And that's not something that happens much because most jaws are not that huge. So I hope those last, but he does look really good, and he was a pretty good price too. They also had the skeleton playing the guitar, and he was really cool too. That thing would go great with the Rock Band from Lowe's, but this guy was really cool. He looked great. He had a nice vest with like patches. He had a tombstone for a guitar that's really cool, and overall it looked great. So yeah, they had some awesome stuff. What I'm hoping to see from them next year is definitely some more of that unique stuff. I hope there are new concepts that we haven't seen before from them. That would be really cool instead of like what Menards was doing with a ton of re-releases. But yeah, they did great this year, so I'd love to see that happen again. The only other thing is it's kind of difficult to find their items in store, which is not something that will probably change, but it's really select stores. But the good thing is they do usually ship online as well. So you can always do that just for a little extra cost. All right, so next we have Morris Costumes, and this last year was definitely one of their best, in my opinion, because we got Carnival Barker, we got the Servo Scarecrow, and then we got so many other little things, Mangy Rat, the Gardener, so many cool animatronics, and it's not something that we really expected from Morris because the previous years weren't like incredible compared to some other companies, but then they really, really did a great job this last year. And the movements that we were seeing there were not something we expected at all. And even though props later, like THD or Lily, which I'll talk about, kind of had some more realism to them with that new material for the face, still Morris definitely stands out from most animatronics. Both Carnival Barker and Scarecrow use a lot of servos, and that's something I would love to keep seeing from them. With Barker, it's nothing new, just a combination of a lot of things going on at once. It's got the digitalized 3-axis servo, mouth movement, it has the body turn, and both arms move, which is insane. There's so much movement to him, so when you're looking at him, he's just really impressive, and he has some great sayings, a good voice, so it's an awesome opener for any circus. But then with Servo Scarecrow, that thing I believe is really underrated, even though the arms are really thin, so I'm not sure how well it would last outside. It's still definitely a step in the right direction. The arm movements for that are like Disney, basically. I mean, they move every way possible. And even though it doesn't make too much sense for that character, I think it could be used really effectively in the future. All right, so next up we have Spirit Halloween. So with Spirit, they definitely had a very unique year. Definitely another kind of split year in the community. Some people really like all the props, and then some people think some of them are a bit more generic. And I think they definitely had a very, very good year overall. There are some really high prices, which is kind of hard to change with a Halloween company because they are so limited to just Halloween, unlike all the hardware stores who can just sell other things to make profit. So it does make sense, but still some pretty high prices there to pay. I do want to talk about two animatronics in specific, one being Blackheart and then one being Thresher. And they seem a bit random, but with Blackheart, this concept is really cool and not something I would really expect from any company. It doesn't seem to like fit in anywhere very much because it's really dark for even Spirit. Like Spirit doesn't really do that type of stuff much anymore. So that was really awesome to see. I think it really stands out. It was actually one of my favorite props that I had in the graveyard. And I definitely think it stood out more than most this year. Just because it's so realistic. Its movement is great. And overall, the concept is something you can just look at and understand. And it's kind of like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. It's not something you'd really expect for a Halloween prop. Again, very high price, but it seems kind of more worth it when it's something this unique. And the realism of that girl and even the Reaper is great. But overall, I would love to see more concepts like this, just this dark, really unique concept, especially because it's so versatile. You can use it in a ton of different places, even just hiding it in the dark. It's a really cool prop. And then Thresher. Thresher is definitely more of a set piece than an animatronic, and that's something I think we definitely need to see more of. It's definitely targeted more towards haunts than home when it's a set piece like that, because most homes are just going to put an animatronic on the porch, and that's enough. But for haunted houses, you definitely want some great sets, and this is an entire entrance to a harvest. So I think that's really cool. It looks really good in person with the hands and the head. And then even the clothing, it's really detailed and nice. And walking through it, you can easily fit a 6 foot or below, of course, person through it. So really cool. And definitely could be used in a more professional setting without looking cheap or anything. So overall, from Spirit, I'd love to see more of those super unique concepts and more of those set pieces. And I think where they are with the movement of their animatronics is a really good place, because I feel it's in between kind of like that fast, super crazy motion of pneumatics. And then on the other side, you got the servo, really lifelike animatronics. And then in the middle, you got Spirit with either jump scare or just kind of a normal lifelike animatronic. And that seems like a good place for them, especially since Spirit really focuses on the character a lot. Like, for example, Heckles. Heckles is really character-based and more of a background animatronic, in my opinion, because if he's not, then you really got to learn that story of that prop, which a lot of times in haunted houses, people are not going to have the time to. For a normal house, it's a great prop. But it's not something that I would put in a haunted house because nobody really stands around for that long to hear phrases and see what's really going on with a clown like that. But Spirit does like to focus on character like that. So props like that definitely make sense to be there, especially since they are really focusing on in-store experience. They have their entire ISEs set up with all the animatronics on it. So of course they're going to want stuff like this where you can kind of look at it, get attached to the prop. Totally makes sense for them. But for the other stores like the online and hardware stores, I think it definitely makes more sense to stick with that like fast-paced or super realistic just to stand out a bit. Speaking of hardware stores, we're going to move on to Home Depot now. So Home Depot definitely did amazing this year. In my opinion, this was probably their best year. The last year before this was definitely very good too. So super close there, but some great realism this year, of course. THD, Lily, and even Yoda. All three of those were extremely real because of the new material they used and because of all the servos they used and even all the different movement, like how THD has the arm movement. It's just crazy how much goes on with those things. And that's something I think Home Depot should stick to because right now they're the only ones that can do it. So definitely stick to that. Because the realism side is definitely important too. Of course, in a haunted house, you want the really good scares and stuff, but most of the time, an animatronic scare is not going to be as good as an actor. So you can hire your actors for those really good scares. Animatronics, sometimes you just want them to be amazing. Just like Disney in all the big scenes that are kind of like staple moments on the rides or experiences. You want that crazy animatronics that people can just look at and be amazed by. And that is definitely some of these. I had people just staring at Lily just because of how amazingly realistic she is compared to most animatronics. Yoda, I haven't really seen reactions to yet just because I didn't use him for the haunt, but even Cold Hate, or THD, he's awesome as well. The concept is great, and overall the looks and movement are amazing. And I feel he could totally make his own scene, even in a professional setting. Like, this thing definitely sticks out from most. So like I said, would love to see more of those and would love to see some taller stuff. As you guys probably know, I love the tall animatronics. I would love to see more of those because the audience reaction to those is always amazing because they just stand out so much. So 15 feet would definitely be cool. We did see a 15-foot prototype Reaper that didn't make production. I'm not sure what the official reason was, but I heard stuff about price and some other things, so not really sure, but it looked cool. It would be definitely cool to see some more 15-foot characters other than just the Phantom, but I know the Phantom didn't sell extremely well, so I'm not sure how likely that is to see, but it would be cool, and also, of course, taller would be amazing for retail. If we can get up to 20 feet, that would be awesome, even if it takes a few years. Next, we've got the hardware store that definitely made the most improvements this year. This is Lowe's. Lowe's did extremely well. They introduced so many new things, including the pneumatics, which is, I believe, the largest change in retail that we've had in a very, very long time. I have done 2 videos now explaining why that's such a big deal, and I really, really hope they can continue that because I know a lot of people don't see that full potential there. With the 3 they released, they were pretty good. I really enjoy all 3 of them, but I feel they could be used much more effectively in retail, and I hope they sold at least well enough that they can prove that. Because if we can see a bit more and if they can explain them in the same way they did as just a starter way of getting into that professional grade animatronic, then I think they would sell great, and I think people would definitely understand better why they're such a big deal. Lowe's did also have some incredible normal electric animatronics. They had the 12-foot Scarecrow, the 9-foot Groundbreaker, both some of my favorite props of all time. They're just both really amazing staple pieces that people definitely loved. But overall, like I said, the pneumatics are definitely something we want to keep pushing, especially because of that marketing behind them. They literally had signs explaining them in stores. They sold them right next to compressors. They built in the regulators. Everything they did was exactly how it should be. And that's not something I would expect for first year of doing it. So keep them the same, change the concepts a bit, add different size cylinders, play around with those mechanisms, but definitely market them the same way because those were awesome and I would love to see more. Last but definitely not least is Party City / Halloween City. Same company, 2 different stores. So They did great this year. And Party City, that's not new for them. They have done great for the past few years. But they introduced huge animatronics moving at high speeds, Mega Wolf. That thing is incredible. The movement on something that big is not something I would ever expect in retail. So that was awesome. And then their concepts overall were incredible. Drop Down Scarecrow is an awesome concept. He actually drops down from 9 feet at you. Amazing scare. Even like Possessed Pumpkin Patch. Awesome scare as well. Really unique mechanism there as well. And then, in my opinion, they definitely had the best Leatherface. That thing looked perfect. And again, movement was great. Great scare there. And even the non-jump scare ones, like the Wendigo, look awesome outside. That thing looked very professional compared to most of my retail stuff. So super happy with him too. I don't think I was unhappy with any of my Party City animatronics this year. So that's a really, really good thing. But what I really want to talk about with them is what they're doing right on the people side of things. They did their first big flagship grand opening thing this year, and it went really well from what I heard. I was actually filming the Great Halloween Fright Fight at the time, so sadly I was not able to go, even though I was really wanting to. But hopefully next year. And I really hope they do it again the same way, because from what I've heard from all my friends and all the people who went, it was just a perfect event. They threw it exactly how it should be, especially because they had a lot of stock in the store. With Spirit, I know it's impossible to stock that much, but there really isn't much at grand opening, so a lot of people cannot get anything. With Party City, it sounded like they had a lot more, and they were actually offering to ship stuff to your house if you flew in, so that was really nice. And there's so many little things that they did for people that were just great, and their customer service is awesome. And overall, the event just sounded awesome, and like I said, I really hope it happens again. On the more animatronic side of things, I think they should definitely continue with those big animatronics. They do great with anything big. Cackles from the previous year. Rattles being our first like fully blow molded, crazy huge character, and he was great. That is one of my favorite props of all time. Party City is definitely doing the right thing, and their range of animatronics is so huge because you have stuff like Rattles, which is this huge static professional looking piece, and then you have the actual like fast moving jump scare animatronics like Drop Down Scarecrow and stuff that could be at other stores, but is really cool that Party City got, especially because their life-size prices are really good. Their big ones definitely get expensive, but it makes sense when they have movement like Mega Wolf does. And still, there's nothing over $500. You do see that from other companies, so I mean, if they can stick to that price range, that is definitely not bad. So yeah, there it was. I could definitely talk about more, but I don't want the video to go on for too long. Those were our major companies for retail. I think everyone did a great job. We also have the professional side of the industry. Transworld is coming up, so that's exciting. And there's a new convention this year, East Coast. That's going to be pretty cool to see too. But yeah, in the retail side, definitely some great things happening, some huge improvements, pneumatic servos, and all over, just some great stuff at each company. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this previous year and what you think may be coming to retail next year. But that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.